I've really been thinking about what are some of the things that we can do in these times, and what are some of the things that are going on. So for me, some of the things that are going on right now is, number one, we're totally off the reservation, and I mean totally, right? There is no precedent for anyone alive really today that has gone through this. Any of the leaders, any of the world leaders haven't lived through a global pandemic. So there's a lot of opinion, but not necessarily a lot of clear facts being handed out, or access to clear facts. It's like when I was first a father. I've got 3 boys, and before I had kids, I had no kids and 1,000 theories, and then after I had kids, I had 3 kids and no theories. And I think that's a little bit like what we're facing now. It's something that's completely unique, completely going to change the world. I think there's the world before coronavirus and there's the world after coronavirus. And so we really need to be thinking about how we want to show up. How do we want to show up at work? How do we want to show up as business leaders? How do we want to show up as individuals? How do we want to show up with our families? So the second thing is, I think, being really true to ourselves, really starting to dig deep and find, how do we want to show up? How do we want to be? How are we really? And one of the things I get involved in is men's work, different community work. So I'm looking at setting up supportive men's group calls. So these are calls just for men to show up and have a conversation and really honestly, authentically express themselves. Leading on from that, I think number 2 is communication. How do we find ways to effectively communicate? Good leaders lead because they're communicating. They know where they're going, what needs to be done, and how to do it. So we really need to think about that from a leadership perspective, but also from those that want to be led. If we're not leaders, but we're people that need our leaders around us, then all this complaining and moaning is not really going to help matters. It's very easy to throw stones. It's very easy to be the coach that sits on the sidelines and complains. But it's really tough to be out there on the field, either as a coach or as a player. So be a team player. Be somebody that really shows up. Learn how to communicate and be communicated with, and find the positive things. There's an old analogy is, in a time like this, you will always see the helpers. You'll find the helpers. Look for the helpers. Look for those that are willing to get involved. Be one of those helpers. Be somebody that's going to really show up. I think another thing that I came across is, there's this great quote which says, as leaders, we're dealers in hope. And really, as people, we need hope. We really need hope, and we need to know that there's something to live for, something to fight for. A lot of people aren't necessarily going to feel that. People don't feel hopeful. People don't always feel hopeful, right? And yet there is hope. There's so much hope out there, and there's so many things to be grateful for. I'm here in London. It's a beautiful sunshine day. So in the middle of my working day, I took 2 hours to go out for a walk. I did some calls, didn't take the whole time off. I did another call, a business call with somebody for an hour, and I was doing shopping. And that's a shout out to Nathan Blair and the work that he's doing from an embodied coaching perspective. So again, from a technology perspective, we're looking at business communities, and in Cloud 100, what I do there is we have a look at connecting businesses, leading businesses into the cloud. And I started really having a think as a business leader about community in business. And if we're not in community, I mean, some of us are lone wolves and we like to be alone, etc. But we need people. People need people, and we need to be connected. And so there's this thing about business community that is needed. So I've got my 2 hats on. I've got my Cloud 100 hat on from a technology perspective, and I'm thinking about leadership in business and community, business community. How do we connect? How do we stay connected? How do we check in on people? There's that saying, check in on your strong friends. So how do we do that? And then from a leadership perspective, there's different things that we can do. How can we show up? How can we bring our value? There's going to be a lot of people right now looking at how to take their businesses online, needing some support. And there are a lot of opportunistic businesses out there, people that are going to make money and have to keep the wheels turning. people that are going to do it unfairly, but then also people that have value to add. And so there's a lot of people out there that have a lot of value to give and don't know how to do that. And so from that perspective, I would say play to your strengths, play to the values that you have, and figure out how you can give some things away, how you can give things that are value for free, just like I'm doing this video. And then how does that tie into the business that you're involved in, or the community that you're involved in, or the business community that you're involved in? What are some things that you can do that are simple and easy that you're able to give away? So those are my thoughts, and I hope you're doing well out there. Keep smiling if possible, where it's tough. These are the times that are gonna change the world, so hang in there.